What's up, all my business owners that may have had to sacrifice your company to go back to working for someone else again due to life happening? And that's the title of the video today. Did you have your own business? Do you have your own business? But then life happens, which can be anything, and now you're back to working for someone else again. Is it devastating, demoralizing? Are you planning on starting your business back up? Or do you still have it, but you scaled it back because you now working, we'll just say Monday through Friday, the traditional days, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., whatever it is, your schedule. Maybe you own Saturday and Sundays and you got Monday and Tuesday off, but we'll just go with the traditional Monday through Friday. That's what I do. And then, off on Saturday and Sunday. I'll be transparent. I've never owned a business, but I'm going to show a video from Malcolm X Bowser. He's the content creator, and he's in Connecticut. He used to live in New York City, and he's married now. A second child was born, so he's got two. And this is some things that he's going to talk about in terms of having to fill out a job application again. He said this was not the plan, but he's married. I'm not sure if his wife is working at the moment, but he's had to go back into working for someone else. Got the two kids to take care of, the mortgage in Connecticut. I don't know the cost of living in that state, and it's just something where if you had your own business, do you feel like the lady in the thumbnail right here, where she's got both of her hands on her cheeks, which is kind of the position we're in when we're kind of down. You're just looking at something, maybe you bored, you put both of your hands on your face, and you can see it in her eyes. She's really just not into this laptop that she's looking at. Or whatever you may do, maybe it doesn't involve a laptop, but you're back to working a job again, and your business has had to get put on the back burner because bills have mounted and your company isn't bringing in enough to cover all of that for you to be comfortable. And I just want to know, how does that feel? Do you think you can get back to being a business owner again? I know a guy who used to have his own barber shop and then ended up having to give that up and go back to renting out a booth from another person's barber shop for whatever reason. And he had his own shop for over 15 years, but then I think it was around 2014, I want to say 2012, no later than 2014. Uh, he told us, "Hey, I'm moving. This is going to be my new location." And he was back to renting out a booth again. No more shop owner. So these things, happen, and he's still cutting hair today, and he's got a main job as well. He never went back up to this point of getting his own barber shop. I'm not sure. I don't think he ever will. I don't think he wants to. But it's just things that happens where you worked for yourself and now you're back to working for someone else again. And yeah, this guy I'm talking about, who cuts the hair, he's got two grown children now, and he was during that time, because I'm older than his kids, so he still was raising them. But by 2012 to 2014, they both in their 20s, so they was probably still teenagers at the time. So that may have played a part in it as well. Still raising them. They're grown now, and him having to transition back into working for somebody else because the money being paid out to keep the lights on at the his barber shop, it just wasn't comparable to, I guess, the bills that may have been coming in. And I think that's probably one of the main reasons why people go back to the whole 9 to 5, at least for now. Some stay on that path, some may be able to get back to working for themselves. and it probably is not the best feeling, and you probably look like this lady in the thumbnail for my video, just kind of wondering, how did I get here, or how did I get back here? And, sacrifices that were made to get your own business, then you're sacrificing again because life happens, and now you have to work for someone else. I mean, if you have had to scale back your company, there may still be some income there, so you got two streams, but your main thing, your purpose is to be working for yourself and not having to fill out an application and be on someone else's schedule. So, I'm pretty sure that's definitely not the road that you wanted to take. And, trying to live your purpose and just trying to convince yourself that, I can step out on this, leave working for somebody else behind, and really dive into my business and scaling that to where it can make this amount of money this year and then even more the next year. But life is something else when it happens. Children, or just certain costs of living increase, or the materials you need for your business go up in price. A family member needs to be taken care of, medical expenses, just life in general when it does happen, and your business hasn't had enough time to stay open, or maybe it has, but it just never made that type of money, not yet, to where you can survive life happening and still just work for yourself. Now you need to get another additional income. And there's nothing wrong with having multiple streams of income, but when people think about that, it doesn't normally include working for someone else. If it does, it's so it doesn't interfere with your main business, and you might not even need to do it 40 hours a week. It may be a part-time thing, and it might be working from home, so it's convenient, so you don't have to go anywhere. So in this case, where things just get too out of control, where you have to work for someone else again, it may be back to a 40-hour schedule, may not necessarily be in the comfort of your own home, based on whatever it is you're doing. But I'm gonna let you guys hear Malcolm Bowser, that's the content creator, and you can subscribe to his channel and just let you hear his journey and what has transpired that's having him go back to working for someone else at this point in time. Like I say, he's married in Connecticut, two children. And I want to let you all hear from Malcolm now, just to see, for all of my business owners who are listening, if he's just now done this. So for anyone who's already been in this boat, if what he's saying kind of resonates with you in terms of if you've had to go through that, or that's what you went through when transitioning back into working for someone else, and how that's going so far, how you're feeling, if you've been able to now leave that job and get back to just working for you, which is the main goal. And that's great if you've been able to do that. So let's get into Malcolm. Let me minimize this. Fair use YouTube, fair use. Here we go.
After 7 years of being a full-time entrepreneur, I recently dusted off the old resume and went back to work. Got a full-time job, 9 to 5, with benefits and all of that. And I want to talk about some things because I think this will help a lot of people and it'll help free up a lot of people because it freed me once I kind of got over some things. So um, as I said before, I quit my job at I was 24 years old. I had a full-time job with the New York City Department of Education. Full-time job, great job. And it was like right out of college a little bit. So I was working there 2.5 years. I was 24 years old, and around this time, I really started to get the entrepreneurial bug. My dad and my stepmom, we were all on the same page. We had a business idea. We had an idea of something that we wanted to do, but we didn't know how we were going to do it. And then we started a YouTube channel and things like that, and we started to get some traction. I was in like a really good spot, meaning I didn't have any real debt. I was living at home. My mother had a used car, so I had no note. I had no kids. Me and my lady, I just needed like all my job was for was really, haircut money, some gas money, take my lady out on the weekend. So that was all like I really like all my responsibilities were. Okay, so um I the way I saw it was if I was gonna quit my job and go full out, to start a business, that was the time, right? I had some money saved, and then my job at the time they paid you out for PTO accrued, right? So I would go in early all the time. I would stay late all the time, and I had about like 40 days of PTO built up, and I knew I had some money saved, and I knew when I quit, they would have to pay me out for that as well. So I'm like, yo, I got a plan, right? And I remember the day I quit, like I think my supervisor like said something to me, and then somebody else threw me under the bus, like in an email that got CC'd to me by accident, and like it was just a lot. So I remember being fed up. I took an early lunch. I called my pops first. Okay, told him what I wanted to do. He goes, "Yo, bro, like listen, we're here." I called my lady, told her. She was like, "Hey, man, I support you. Do your thing." And then I called my mother because, like, my mother, you know what I mean? Like, that was the big one. I was like, I gotta tell my mother. So I told my mother, and I told her the plan just like same way I kind of broke it down just now. And she was like, Malcolm, I support you, right? So I went back in there, no lie, like I gave him a month. I didn't even give him 2 weeks. I gave him a whole 4 weeks. I wanted to close out all my cases. And then I started out my entrepreneurial journey. Okay. And since then, I put out my own book right here. Put out my own book. Me and my dad, we started our podcast, the Urban X Podcast. We had over 1 million downloads, 60 something thousand YouTube subscribers on our channel. We sold merch. We made over $1.1 million in revenue. And this year, 2025, January of this year, we stopped the podcast over 519 episodes. I think we had even more kind of bonus episodes than that. We had a membership. Like I said, we sold our own merch. We did a lot of amazing things. But in that time, as if you don't know, the entrepreneurial journey is, it is tough. It is a lot of peaks and valleys. And you know, I've learned so much on that journey. I've learned so much, and I'm still on the journey because I'm not stopping. I'm still building my business and things like that. But my life changed since then, right? I have 2 kids. I have I'm about to be a husband to my fiance, the mother of my children. I have a home. Like I have bills, and I have like adult responsibilities now. And the unstableness of the entrepreneurial world, I just couldn't do it anymore, and it was stressing me out. If you can see my hair, I'm 31, right? And I have more grades than some people that are older than me. And the stress of trying to figure it out, trying to get the business to work, trying to also be a present father, present partner, it was getting to me. And
That's that gray hair. He said he 31, he probably turning 32 this year. I made 40 this year and have no gray, so me and him are 8, no more than 9 years apart. So, that's what that stress can do.
it got to the point where, and then the podcast, the business that I was running with my family, it was going through some shifts as well. And it just got to the point where I just had to make a decision. And that wasn't, if you're watching this, if you are an Urban X podcast fan, that wasn't the reason why we stopped the show. But we were just kind of all personally going through shifts. I was 24, now I'm 31. I feel like I'm two different people than when we started the business to now. So we were going through so many different things that now this job, it just kind of freed up a lot of the stress that was kind of weighing on me. Like literally when I got the call that I got the job, it felt like 2 tons were literally lifted off my shoulder. You know what I mean? And the job, I'm not making like crazy money, but it feels good to just to have some regularity again in my income, because as you know, when you're a full-time entrepreneur, you eat what you catch. You know what I'm saying? So if business does well one month and it doesn't do well another month, you have to kind of figure that out. You have to get the money from somewhere. And my dad, and my stepmom, we were all pulling for each other. We were all sacrificing for each other, and they sacrificed a lot for me. You know what I mean? To make sure I had what I needed, and and then my kids had what they needed, and the house had what like we all pulled for each other, and now is I'm able to kind of breathe a little easier. And one of the things that's come out of this is I'm able to think a lot clearer. When I have a business idea, when I have a something that I want to execute on, there's no rush to it as it was before. Like before, and I would say like the last like 3 years, everything needed to be like right now. Like I needed this to go now. I needed this to work. Like when you have an idea, when you have a business idea, you think of things in like you want to think of things in like the best case scenario, right? It's not realistic, but if everything
So you all kind of get the gist of his journey, and the reason you hear him starting out talking about how he was at home, no bills, no car note, and the money from his original job with the New York Department of Education, all of that just went to him. He can go get his hair cut and go out with his girlfriend. That was it. And then, like you said, he was saving up the 40 days of PTO, and, things got bad at the job, which is why a lot of people don't like the corporate America and the rat race. Like he said, someone threw him under a bus, and somehow he got put on an email, probably by mistake. But hey, that was just another one of the signs to get out of there, saying that he had done something wrong that I guess wasn't fully his fault. And so at this point, he said the writing was on the wall. Let me get out of here and let me start the business. He had the safety net, still living at home with his mom. So, these are all things that, um, if you have, that's what you have going for yourself. Uh, didn't have the two kids at the time. Hey, let's go ahead and start the business. And, they made a lot of money. He said $1.1 million in revenue. But at the same time, bills had to be paid out of that. And the three people in the company were him, his father, and his stepmother. So, money has to be split. They have to reinvest into the business. And then, they were printing out t-shirts because they had merchandise, hoodies, which they still sell. They have a mailing list. But at the same time, if just not enough people are buying it, and then the extra expenses of life happening, like he said, the two kids came, and uh, he has another vehicle now. He no longer has that used vehicle. On his other channel that him and his dad have, it's called Urban X. He talked about one that video is still up there. Well, he just mentions it. And that's not what the video is about. Were just covering the general news, pop culture, things like that. And he mentioned the new vehicle he had received and he had bought. And then I remember he talked about when him and his soon-to-be wife, her name is Avery, moving to the state of Connecticut. And so that's why him and his dad couldn't do their YouTube channel in person. They started doing the split screen. And then before they ended it back in January of this year, that final episode is still up on that channel. And then you just hear the transition and just not knowing where the money is going to come from month to month, being your own boss. And to anyone, like I said, who has their own business now, if you've had to share this journey, like what Malcolm is saying, and having to apply again, and now do you have peace of mind, like he says, at least for now, because he can think clearer, not worrying where the next direct deposit is going to come from. And, it's got benefits, I'm sure medical, dental, vision, when you're a business owner. I mean, you can still pay those on your own through an individual plan. You can pay it every month just the same way as a company that you work for does. So that's not something I think that should deter you if you're going to be a business owner and he hasn't given up on that. You can pay for your own benefits That's not anything that should hold you back from working for yourself. And knowing Malcolm, I'm pretty sure, and this is just another stream of income for him once he gets his business to where he wants it to be, and then he can probably scale back on this, and it'll still be some extra income, but he may not be working it 9 to 5 because now he's got his main business going once again. This doesn't have to be my business is completely gone, like I was telling you about the man that would cut my hair in his shop just now being completely gone. He's out of that business and hasn't looked back into doing that. That's not to say that he may not want to work for himself again in some capacity. I don't think it'll be another barber shop, but for now he just cuts hair and has a main job, so he's got those two incomes. He's still working for himself, sort of. If you cut hair or do nails, do braids, you're a stylist. The only thing is you do have, booth rent that you pay to the shop owner. So you don't, I wouldn't say you necessarily work for the shop owner since you bring your own people in there, but they do have their own hours. You do have to pay them rent, and they do have their own rules that you have to follow if you want to keep having your clients come into that shop and you provide your service to them. And so going back to Malcolm, like you said, he still has business ideas and he's able to think clearer now because he's got the safety net of this job that he went back to. And so it's just a way, I think, to probably balance things out. And he will once again emerge with his own business. Some YouTube in itself is a business. Once you get monetized and they direct deposit you each month and you pay taxes on that the way you file as a 1099. So, Glendon Cameron, who's also on YouTube, has said that, uh, it is a business and you have to look at it like that. And that was part of, I think, Malcolm's business model as well with his dad, the channel, the merchandise that they sell. And they also had a website. It was $5 a month. Now it's $10 a month, and they put content up there, and you can subscribe. And they have a special guest in there, and then different workshops that they do. So this is all that they were doing in terms of running the business. And they made like I said, $1.1 million in revenue. And right now, I think things are just on hold until Malcolm figures out the next step of what he wants to do. Like he said, he's 31. If his birthday, I don't think his birthday has came yet this year because they would celebrate it on their Urban X YouTube channel. So he should be, this is May. Yeah, he should be turning 32 this year. So I don't think his birthday has came just yet. So he's not an old guy at all. Despite the gray hair, that's just the stress. And this is not a time to be giving up on being a business owner, whether you do it through YouTube and getting monetized on there or whatever way. Uh, the barber I was talking about, he was born 1973, so he'll be 52, God willing, this year. And so, not to say that 52 is too late to do your own thing in terms of being a business owner, but in terms of him having had a barber shop for a long time, that may not be the direction that he wants to go back to, and he may have a vision for something else now. So not 32, 52, still not too late, definitely not at 32 to continue your business journey, especially if you've already had your hands in it in the past, as Malcolm has. And so, like he said, he's learned a lot and he's still learning. And so I think this video here is also good motivation for people who are looking to start their own business for the first time, whether it be on YouTube or wherever. and get out of the 9 to 5, especially if you're older than 32 and you've gotten a chance to save up maybe more money than Malcolm had time to, even though he was living at home at the time. And right now, if you are probably 30 and up, you may not be at home, and so you still have the bills, like he said, that he has now, especially if you are a parent. Not so much you being in a relationship, that other person can take care of themselves, they're an adult, but you bring a son or a daughter into the equation, that obviously changes things. Me, I don't have any kids, just to be transparent, but I have the same bills like Malcolm. You paying mortgage, things like that, or people paying rent, car notes, things like that. And so you just put all of that into perspective and how much it adds up to each month, and the type of numbers you need your business to do in order to pay that, and then go from there and scale it to where now you have no salary cap like what you have at that job, and you can make 50,000 one year and 200,000 the next, and whatever it is that your business is about. But there was a lady, her name is Michi X. She's also on YouTube. She put up a video because this was some years ago, and she has classes about how to make money online. And one thing she said is to focus on just paying your bills for that month when you become a business owner. Don't think about, I need to make $1 million. I'm the president of this company now. Whatever it is that you're doing, landscaping, you got a food truck, however it is that you're in business for yourself. She said just focus on replacing your job's income, meaning whatever it is that you pay out each month in bills. Once your business, focus on getting your business just to do that, making that amount of money, and then go from there. And you can scale it to double and triple that. But that should be the first goal. She said certain people start businesses and they feel if they're not making 3 or 4 times as much as they are at the job working for someone else, then the business isn't going great or they're behind, but that's not the case. Start slow, just focus on paying the bills that you currently have, scaling your business to where, okay, I'm bringing in this amount each month to where now I can stop working for that company, and now my business now pays my bills, and then we go from there. You know how much you pay out each month and whatever it is that your obligations are, if you're a parent, all of that. If you're not a parent, then things will be less. And so these are all the things where I'm talking about life happening that includes children and may not include children. And so all of that stuff can sometimes snowball and cause you to go pick up another job. But again, I don't think that this is temporary. I think it is temporary for Malcolm, and that he'll be back on his feet eventually in terms of his next business idea. So that's my battery saver. Yep, I'm about to get on up off of here. That's my cue from the computer. Um, to all my business owners that's listening to this, if you resonate with what Malcolm said, if this is what you went through, are you back just working for someone else now, or have you did that and come back full circle and your business is now back up and running? Do you have both, but you've scaled back on working for someone else as just a part-time thing, and then your main occupation is you working for yourself, so you can focus on that without being, taken away from it from working from a job for a different company? Where are you at in terms of that journey if you went through this? People who have never started a business like myself, and you want to be in business for yourself, whether it be through YouTube monetization or however you want to do it. Does this help you in terms of what can happen and where your life is? Do you have no kids? How old are you? Are you 30, 40, whatever the case may be, and you want to start now? Are you over 50? It's never too late. Uh, you know, put that down in the comments in terms of, where you guys stand, or if you cool just working for someone else and you're just going to retire off of that. Just whatever you feel your purpose is. Put all of that down in the comments. Uh, any other videos you want me to review or topics you want me to discuss, I decided to react and review this video. Send it to my YouTube email, which is cregier.mj@gmail.com. That's CREGIER period MJ@gmail.com. It will also be down in the description of this video, the whole email address. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. The name is Facts of Feelings, all one word, no spaces. Put that in the YouTube search, Facts or Feelings, and my channel comes right up. Remember, no spaces. Congratulations to Malcolm on about to get married to Avery, and I'm sure his business, we'll see it in the future. Everybody else who's trying to work for themselves, keep pushing, whether it's on YouTube or anywhere else, so you can be in business for yourself and take your life back. Life does happen, but we can also take it back. Remember that. I'm out.